Okay, so I'm trying something new here on YouTube. This is the first video podcast that I'm putting out. If you didn't know, I have a podcast. I have about like 30 episodes on there right now. So I'm going to try posting a actual video of me doing the podcast and uploading it to YouTube. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this setup. I'm thinking about doing a second channel and cutting it into bits and into like maybe like 3 to 5 minute segments. I don't know. I'm still planning it out. So in the comment section down below, please let me know if you enjoy it, if you don't, if I should put this on a second channel, if I should not, if I should cut them into clips. I don't know. Help me out. Leave it in the comment section down below. And welcome to the first podcast episode where I'm actually recording it on the camera. So for those that are listening to this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever, you can actually go on YouTube and watch the video podcast of it. It's the same content, just in video format, meaning you'll actually be able to see me on camera, but nothing's much going on. But if you want to see it on YouTube now, you have that option. I'm going to be testing it out. I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be like a long-term play, but hey, let's see how it goes. Let's see the reaction, the responses. I think I'm also going to make a second channel to where I'll post the podcast into clips on that second channel. So let's say like on my main Detail Groove account, I will post the entire podcast. But then on the second channel, I'll chop it up into little bits to like maybe like 2 to 5 minute segments based on like whatever I'm talking about in the podcast. I don't know. We'll see though. It's again, just testing it out. I'm not saying I'm gonna do this for more than 5 episodes. Maybe it'll be 50 episodes. I don't know. Let's just go see how it turns out. So in this podcast episode, we're going to talk about the confidence, how to increase or how to gain the confidence to charge higher rates. I received this question on the YouTube channel, and I said I was going to do a podcast episode. Well, I said I was going to answer more thoroughly, and I figured the best way to do that is via a podcast episode. So today we're talking about how to gain the confidence to charge higher rates in your detailing business. I have about here on my phone, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points that we'll talk about. Now, none of these are in any specific order. The first one isn't more important than the last one. These are just the ones I wrote down, and these are all, based on my opinion, valuable. So just take them all and see which ones kind of apply more to you or which ones you think will have a bigger impact on your business. So first one, it's not about the products or tools or how long you've been in business. It's about the results delivered. So if you're basing your pricing off of the tools and product that you're using, you're going to instantly think that if you want to charge more, you need to have better tools and products, right? So right now, if you have a Griot's 6-inch polisher and you want to charge more, you think, well, gosh, I need to go get myself one of them there, Rupes, Mark III, whatever, and spend, $400 to $500 on that polisher because now I'm super professional, right? Now because I have a much higher tiered polisher, I'm able to charge more. That's simply just not the case. I think about it where whenever you go literally to any type of service provider or service business, let's say you call out an HVAC specialist, you go get your teeth cleaned, get your teeth fixed, go and whatever, like you're not asking, you go to the mechanic shop to, fix your brakes or whatever. You're not asking them, hey, are you using Snap-on or are you using Husky? That's not the question that you're asking. You're asking, hey, can you fix this? Hey, is it solved? Hey, was that the solution? What's the proper solution to my problem? You're not saying, hey, so, are you using the, the highest priced Snap-on ratchet that you can buy? Like, you're not asking those questions. So the same thing is happening in your business, right? The customer's not saying, hey, so are you using a Rupes or are you using a Griot's Garage? That's not a question that's running through their mind. What they want to know is, hey, can you deliver the results that I'm looking for? And that's it. Can you deliver the results that I'm looking for? Because I want to pay to get my car cleaned. I'm not paying for you to come with the Rupes and the Adams polishes and the Griots and the whatever the case may be. They say, hey, I have a dirty vehicle and I want it cleaned. Can you do that? Yes or no? I want my car polished. I want these swirls and scratches removed. Can you or can you not do it? Yes or no? They're not worried about what you're bringing. They're not worried about what tools you have. They're not worried about how much you spent on your arsenal, right? They're not. It's you that's coming up with that, I guess that excuse of like, yeah, if I do this, then people will spend more with me. But that's not the case. So don't put emphasis on the tools and products that you're using, because it takes you down the rabbit hole of, this what's the word called when it's fake, fugazi, I don't know. But anyways, you don't want to go down that route, because then again, you're just looking at other external factors of what you can do externally to increase your pricing. But you just can't go that way. It's not dependent on the tools or products. It's dependent on the results that you produce for your customer. So second point, like anything, you gain more confidence and experience over time. Wow, that's a real, that's a great tip. Is that, if you're just starting your business, if you're just getting into it, and you've maybe serviced, I don't know, 3 customers, 5 customers, under 10 customers. I mean, what do you really know at that point, right? Like, do you really understand the entire detailing process? Not so much of the detailing in itself, but in terms of if you're mobile, how many times have you gone to a customer's location? How many times have you actually spoken with a customer? How many times have you actually accepted payment? How many times have you seen something go wrong or not go in the direction that you thought it would? So you need to get that experience under your belt to really feel comfortable. Just not even raising your prices, but you're just comfortable with the process, right? So not above all else, but definitely you can't expect to just right out of the gate start charging much higher rates when you're not even comfortable with the current phase that you're in. All right, like if you're looking at these other detailers charging these other amounts, well, you know what? They've probably been in it for 3, 5, 7, 10 years, right? So you can't base your growth or your, type of results when you've been in it in less than 6 months with less than 50 vehicles, and the other detailer that you're looking at has 5+ years with, 200+ vehicles. You just can't compare them two. So based on yourself, you have to give yourself that time to go through and just frequency, just repetition, just going through the process and seeing, okay, what is the process like? What are the customers asking? What are the reactions? What are the questions that they have for me? Like, you have to go through all that yourself. Yes, you can read about it. You can learn about it here if you're listening to the podcast or watching it on YouTube. But until you actually go through the process yourself, you're not going to really understand what it takes to, one, complete the process of the detailing process between talking to a customer, booking them in, servicing them, and then getting them back on the calendar. You're not going to understand that just by listening to it. Yes, you'll get a general understanding of okay, so I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna talk to them, yada yada yada. But until you actually go through those things over and over, you're not gonna be sure. You're not gonna have the confidence basically to just even do that. So now you want to raise your prices when like your foundation isn't even set right. It's not gonna work out. So if you are just starting and you don't even have that much experience under your belt, I mean, you got to get that experience under your belt. That's just really the only way you can go about it. Number 3, it's easier to raise your prices when you have a steady stream of qualified leads coming in. And basically what this comes down to is your supply and demand, right? If you increase the demand, then you're able to just easily raise your prices. Let me see the other one. Yeah, so basically on this one is, look, if you're getting one phone call, right? One phone call, not even a phone call, one inquiry, right? Like someone sends you an email, someone sends you a text, someone gives you a call. You're getting one inquiry once a week. Let's keep it super extreme. You're getting one call, one inquiry once a week. So in the total of a month, you'll get at max 4 people interested in your services. Okay. What happens when you have such a low amount of people reaching out to you? Every person that reaches out to you, in your head, you're like, oh my God, I gotta land this customer. Like, what do I have to do? Do I have to cut my prices in half? Do I have to give them more? Do I say that there's a special? Do I work with their budget? You get so basically scared that like, man, this is the one customer I'm getting for the week. Not even customer. This is the one potential customer that I'm getting for the week. I need to really make sure I land them. So I want to charge $200 for this interior, but this is I haven't had a call since last week, so I'm going to charge $50. I'm going to charge $100. So if you don't have that many inquiries on a daily or weekly basis, you're kind of putting yourself in a situation where it's hard for you to do anything other than try to fight for every customer that you can. And this is where a lot of us fall into the realm of, well, I knew this wasn't going to be a good customer, but I wanted the money. Well, this customer wanted XYZ and his budget was only this, but he wanted all this, so I did it anyways. Where like you're not even choosing customers at this point. You are just taking whatever life is giving you with these customers. And because it's so infrequent, the volume is so low, you will do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure you win the customer. And look, everyone's going to go through that phase, okay? Like we're all going to eventually have to, like just take on whatever work. It might be like, oh, I should charge $240, but the customer said they can only do $180, and I haven't had a customer in over a week, and I want to get experience, so I'm just gonna do this very bad, interior and exterior that would actually take me like 7 hours. I'm gonna just charge $180 when it should be whatever. You get what I'm trying to say here. Is that you'll just take on whatever you can. So probably out of this entire podcast is like probably one of the bigger things that you can do is not even one of the big. I'd say this goes up there with like this probably would be number one, where you increase the amount of qualified leads that you get in your business, and get this on a daily basis. Meaning if you can go from one inquiry every week to one inquiry every day, now things start to shift, right? Let's just say 5 days out of the week, right? So in the first phase, you were getting one call every week, 4 calls per month. Now, you've done your marketing, you've done this, you've done that, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward, 3-6 months, you're now getting one inquiry every day. So between 4 inquiries in 1 month versus 20 inquiries, I'm not really sure I got 4 fingers, 4 inquiries versus 20 inquiries, which one do you think is in a better position to get more customers? Right? Just based solely off of the volume of leads that you're getting. If you can get 20 over 4, you're in a much better position to land more customers because you just have a higher volume. And if you dig down on marketing and you focus on that one thing to generate those leads, those qualified leads, then it is astronomically easier to increase your pricing, because you have an influx of potential customers calling you, contacting you, wanting you to detail their vehicle. And at that point, it is very, very easy. Let's see here. I remember when I'm looking at my phone right now. I remember when I first started getting calls, right, through search engine optimization, SEO. That's back in 2014, 2015. When I started seeing the results. And I remember I went from getting basically no calls. And as my SEO progressed and as I, moved up the ranks in Google, I moved up to, the 3rd page, 2nd page, top of 2nd page, bottom of 1st page. And I would see the calls and emails increasing, right? Maybe it'd be 1 call and 2 emails per week. Then 2 calls, 2 emails per week. And then, 4 calls, 2 emails per week. And then, at some point it was it was just getting out of hand. Like the emails and phone calls would not stop coming in, and they were just coming in day after day after day after day. That I would finish a job and there'd be 4 phone calls, 4 missed calls from potential customers with the 2 voicemails saying, "Hey, here's my vehicle. This is what I want. Please call me back." Then I'd go and check my inbox, and there's 2-3 other emails in there. So at that point, when you're getting when you get to the point where there's an increased volume of qualified leads into your business, you even if you disregarded everything else in this podcast and you just saw that there's an increase in leads, you would just naturally be like, oh wow, so I could just raise my prices because there's just so many people now. So I remember when I started getting a lot of calls, I just started raising my prices. There was no plan behind it. There was no I don't even know, but it's there was nothing behind it. I was just man, these are a lot of calls. I'm just gonna start raising my prices. Not every other person, but in segments, I guess you could say that every new segment that I passed or something, I would start upping the pricing. So let's say after, I don't know, I'm just trying to think off the cuff here, but let's say after every 50 customers, I'd be okay, I'm going to raise my prices again. And then starting then moving forward, my prices would be raised. And then, after another 50 customers, I'm okay, I'm going to keep on raising them. And that's all I would do. There was no scientific method or I'm projecting this, projecting that. No, I was wow, these are a lot of people calling me and emailing me now. So I'm just going to raise my prices. That's it. And that's basically it. But I would say this one is the most important. You have to increase the demand for your services. If you have one person contacting you per week, you can't do much about that. You're in that desperation phase. You're in that hopeful phase that you hope this one customer books with you. You hope this one customer tips. You hope this one person, hires you again. Whereas when you focus on the marketing, when you build that lead generation that generates a consistent flow of qualified leads on a daily basis, and you see those results and you see it coming in, and like you just like it's happening, then it's much easier to raise your rates. Because yes, like and I'll kind of connect this to the next point where it says this is the next point, but I'll fuse it in. It says you'll always be too expensive to someone at any price point. So even when you're just starting and when you just get one inquiry per week, those people are still telling you, that's too expensive. So whether you are charging $100 for the interior or $250 for the interior, at any given point, you're too expensive for someone. So even when you get more leads, plenty of them are still going to tell you no. Even if you raise your rates, even if you keep them at the same price, they're going to still say, "Oh, that's too expensive. I can't. Hey, can you work on my budget?" Whatever. But at all times, you're going to be too expensive to someone. But when you are able to get a higher volume of qualified leads into your business, you'll still get a lot more, not a lot more yeses, but you'll get enough yeses that book out your schedule. And there'll still be plenty of people that are going to be like, "Oh, that's too expensive. Oh, I can't afford that right now. Oh, can you work with my budget?" So it's important to note, because like you have to take away that fear of like people saying no, of scaring people away, of people not being able to afford your pricing. Whether you're charging $25 an hour, $50 an hour, or $100 an hour, someone's not going to be able to afford that at any time. So you can't be stuck on the idea of like, I need to get everyone as a customer, right? Like not every person that contacts you is going to become a paying customer. That's not how it is. Like that would be too good. That'd be too good to be true. Not every person that contacts you will become a customer. And that's good. That's fine. You don't need every single person, right? When you're first starting off, you are taking on whatever you can. Like if it's just one seat cleaning, or, you're going to just wash a vehicle, like you will take on whatever you could take on because you want that experience and you want that money. We all go through it. I went through it. You've gone through it. That other person that's next to you has gone through it. We've all gone through it. And as you progress in your business, and, you're going to go into phases. So the first phase, like, yes, you'll take on whatever you can. And then hopefully you focus on your marketing, you increase your volume, you listen to all these tips through these podcasts, and you're like, okay, I'm in the second phase. I mean, I'm just making up these phases, but you're in the second phase. For now, you can, kind of either raise your prices or be a bit more nitpicky of who you're dealing with. And then you go into the third phase, and that's when you're like, really like, you just pick the highest profitable or the, whatever most fun service that you want to do, and you go with those. Again, I'm just making that up, but you get the gist of like, you have to go in these phases. So, but it's important to know that at any phase that you're in, you're going to be too expensive for someone. So that's important to note. So let's go ahead and move on to, let me take a sip of water here. Now this one, you're not going to like because it's the truth. So don't get mad at me for saying this, and I wrote this in big caps. Patience. Oh, another big one, right? Patience. I mean, look, and I covered this, or I'll share this in the next podcast, and it won't be on video because I already recorded that yesterday, but I want to put this one up first because I want to see how it is on video, so you'll hear it on the next podcast episode, where someone spent $16,000 starting their business. They quit their job, and things are just not going in their favor. Nothing is going in their favor. No customers, no revenue, and things are just not looking good. Now, what's important to note is that I think like it throughout the entire process, he never got any results, and he just started. I think it's been like a few months since he started, and as much as, if you put 16,000 into your business, if you quit your job, you need the results now, right? Because you just invested all this money, you quit your job, so you don't have a source of income coming in anymore. So what's going to pay off that debt and your bills and your livelihood is the income from your business. And if you're not getting income from your business, well, then what's going on? You don't have any money. But, you can't rush success, and I'm putting that in quotation marks for those that aren't watching the video. You can't rush success. Yes, you can do things that will, expedite your result, but you can't just go from like nothing to I am now making $10,000 a month and I can pay off this debt and live, my lifestyle and yada, yada, yada. Things are gonna take time. It is so rudimentary to say this, but like you get so stuck in like the day-to-day tasks. You're like, oh my God, I need a customer, I need to do this, I need to do that, like and you're just like running all over the place. And it's like, oh, that's right, like things take time. And if you not like with the next podcast that you hear, is that if you are like in the super, desperate time of like, oh my, I need finances, like I need a customer, I need to do this, that puts you in such a prime state to make such horrible decisions for short-term success. Because now, like, if you're not, like, and this is the craziest thing, like if you're not making money, right, in your business, let's say you quit your job, and you're not making money, but you need money, obviously to live and to pay off your bills and all that. Well, then you start getting desperate and you start making decisions that are definitely short-term. So you're like, okay, you know what? This Yelp has been calling me. They want me to run ads. Okay, I'll put $500, $700, $1,000 on credit, and I'll run ads. And then you're like, okay, this is really gonna help me. Like I'm gonna run ads on Yelp, and I'm for sure gonna get at least. And here you go, lying to yourself. I'm gonna make at least 20 vehicles, and if it's at least $100, whatever, right? And you come out with like a number that you're gonna make in revenue. And then guess what? You run those ads, you get no customers, you get no revenue, and then you start going crazy, and you're like, oh my God, like this didn't work, and now this and now that, and look, it takes time, right? It takes time to get the results that you want. So if you are in a rush to raise your prices, yes, you can do things to expedite that. Yes, you can do things to put things in your favor. Like, yeah, if you're marketing, yeah, if you didn't like quit your job and you're able to give yourself that cushion to kind of wait a little longer to get the marketing to work, to get the customers to come in, to to get more experience and knowledge, after every customer. If you're doing those things, yeah, you're setting yourself up to where you're able to expedite those results. But if you're in this time crunch and you are financially struggling, you don't know the word patience. And look, it can be I'll do another podcast episode on this, because it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing to be like to just want to take action. But like from my experience, like talking to so many of you detailers, is that like, and again, me going through it as well, is that when you're in that desperate phase, yes, you're taking action every day. You're trying to get results, but you're doing it in from a bad mental state that like you're just looking at tomorrow. You're not looking at long term. You can't, not 3 months, not investing in your business or anything. Like you're just looking at it by day to day. You're looking at it at the next 24 hours of I need money right now, and you just can't make any good decisions with that type of mindset. So look, you need patience. If you don't have patience, you got to find patience somehow. Maybe that means getting a part-time job. Maybe that means getting a full-time job. Maybe that means I don't know what that means. But if you don't have patience, and I know I've kind of ventured off a little bit on the main topic of the confidence to price your services. But look, this goes hand in hand with it. Where like if you don't have the steady flow of qualified leads coming into your business, right? And that's gonna take time. If because you have to start marketing and stuff, then you don't have patience. Like you need to start, you need to do something to get results, and just patience goes out the door. And like, yes, you could be like, no, well, I'm not gonna fail, and this and this, and no, I'll find a way to make it happen. Okay, you know how many people actually make it happen when they're in that type of scenario? Not many. Yes, you'll hear of the big stories of, this entrepreneur that, was about to lose everything, and he was, living in a garage and yada, yada, yada. And then 6 months later, he broke through and made $100 million. Look at all the people that don't make it through, right? You don't hear those stories because they failed, because they, had to give up. So yes, it's good to have that mental fortitude of like, no, like I'll make it work. I'll hustle, I'll whatever. But hey, look, like, it doesn't always work out. And I'm not saying here to be a pessimistic. I'm not here to say, oh, like Oscar doesn't, believe in hard work. No, it's not that. It's like the reality of it is when you're in a financial crunch and you don't know how you're going to pay next week's bills, you're not able to grow your business with a healthy mindset of what you're supposed to do, because the thing you're focused on is in the next 24 hours, how do I come up with X amount of money? Okay, so we'll go on to the next one, because that was a lot of a talk of patience. Take a water sip right there for those listening. And this is the last step here, is that you don't have to give more and more to earn more. Basically what I mean is like you don't have to keep on giving more to earn more in your business, right? So like if let's say you're making $25 an hour and you want to go to, let's just double it to $50 an hour. You don't literally have to start adding more value in your services, Okay. Now you can to some degree, right? Like if you like, I'll give you a specific example of us in our business. We had a basic wash, and as it sounds, it was just a basic wash, right? Just washing it, cleaning the wheels and tires, drying it, door jambs, exterior glass, boom, done, and dressing the tires, right? Just like a basic wash, and we charge like $30 for it. Let's say for like a sedan, let's say like a Toyota Corolla, it'd be like $30, right? Nothing biggie. And after a while, we were like, you know what? Like we're doing we're first of all, we're not trying to get that many washes anyways, right? To start with, we're not trying to get too many washes. So we're like, okay, well, one, we're not really trying to promote washes, right? Like even like it's just not really worth it. And second, when we did do the washes, we were doing a lot more work than what we had prescribed in our menu, right? We were like, you know what? Let's go ahead and just raise the price, because we're not trying to get like 20 car washes in a week. And when we do it, like we want to do it to a higher degree. So our washes basically doubled on price across the board. What was $30 for a wash on a basic wash, we moved it to a premium wash, and we charge now $50 to $60 for the premium wash. And so here, like in our instance, like we did do a lot. We upped the price because we were doing a lot more for the service. So we were doing a lot of work, right? Because because we wanted to do that. I am talking too much. We wanted to do a higher level of work, but our price was still low. So all we did was just raise the price to match our service. So per what we said we were going to do as a basic wash, we were already doing more of that. Just the price wasn't equal to that, so we just raised the price. So that's one instance of like what we did. Like we actually were adding more value than what we said we were. The price just wasn't matched, so we upped the price. Now, for like our other services, like the interior cleaning or paint correction, like if we want to go from 200 to 220 to 240 to 260, we're not really doing much, because even if we wanted to add more value to the vehicle, at some point you're gonna hit a threshold of you can no longer add more value, right? So let's say, let's go back to the wash, right? Let's say for the basic wash, like you're like, you know what, I'm gonna add a spray wax to this now. So you're like, okay, I'm adding value. So when I'm drying the vehicle, I'm gonna add a spray wax, and then you're like, okay, well, I want to raise my prices again. So you're like, okay, I'll add a spray glass sealant or coating. Okay, we'll do that. Then you're like, okay, I want to raise the prices again for the car wash. So it's like, then where do you start? Where do you start adding the value? Okay, let's polish the exhaust tips, right? Let's coat the trim, and like you're just gonna keep on adding new things to add to increase the price, but you really don't need to do that, because again, if you go back to my main point that I said in this podcast, that you increase the flow of qualified leads into your business, you can basically negate all of that, because you don't have to keep on giving more to earn more, right? And then we can go into a different discussion of like the different ways to make more money without necessarily raising your prices or doing anything else. But that's a different subject. I'll try to keep it super simple here because I've already went on a tangent on the last one. But basically, it's like if you increase that main thing of qualified leads into your business, you don't necessarily have to raise the perceived value of it, right? Because if you just have a higher demand, right? If you have way more customers wanting you to service their vehicle, and your supply, which is you, is very limited, maybe because you're still, you're doing this as a part-time business or whatever. Well, then you now have the luxury of just raising your price. That way, you don't have to handle as much demand, and you can really work on the vehicles that you want that are paying full price. All in all, what I'm trying to say is that like you don't have to justify to a certain degree why you're raising your prices, right? Like you don't necessarily have to be like, okay, well, now I'm adding XYZ. Now I'm adding XY, more and more. Now I'm adding more and more. Now I'm adding more and more in order to raise my prices. No, at some point you're going to hit a threshold and you're like, okay, like this is a great service. This is like, the customer is getting a lot of value out of this. Like this is the sweet spot. So now just like, hey, like we have more customers now. We're focusing on the results. We're very professional. Like we can just raise our pricing. And again, like it's not like you can just indefinitely raise your prices, right? Like at some point, can you get to a $200 car wash? I mean, probably not, right? You're going to hit a threshold. And once you hit that threshold, again, this will be a separate topic of a podcast, but once you hit that threshold, now it's like, okay, now how do we just scale this and like do more of these washes and just get more customers and service more customers on a daily basis? Because like you will hit a threshold at some point, right? Like it might be $100 an hour, it might be 150 an hour, it might be 200 an hour, but whatever, at some point you will hit threshold and you can no longer just focus on raising your rates. Now it's more so of like servicing more customers on a daily basis or cutting your time down to get to more customers and yada, yada, yada. But that'll be on a separate podcast episode. So I'll end it right here. I'm talking to YouTube right now, so let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about this video setup. Is it cool or is it not? Should I keep it going? Do I start a second channel? Should I not? I don't know. You let me know. For those that are on Instagram, you can go to the YouTube video and check it out. Leave a comment, or as I always say on the podcast, is reach out. You can follow me on Instagram and to those on YouTube as well, because that's where I really interact way more with the audience. I post a lot of stories. I ask for we do a lot of Q&As. I go live. You can shoot me a DM. I'll respond via podcast or my stories. So if you want to follow me somewhere, do it on Instagram to like get to know me and be more interactive with me. And if you're on YouTube right now, leave a comment down below since you're already here, and you might as well do that. So other than that, hopefully you took some good nuggets out of this podcast episode, and I'll talk to you and see you now on the next one.